4G data health coverage is available throughout our country. I am pleased to announce that the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority has signed an agreement with Google Loon in order to allow Loon balloons to fly over Kenyan airspace. These balloons, which will hover well above our commercial airspace, will carry 4G base stations and have the capacity to provide wider signal coverage. This intervention will enable Kenya to retain her competitive advantage in ICT and innovation in the midst of the current crisis, while at the same time laying foundations for greater expansion once the current health challenge is contained. The development will also enable Telkom Kenya and Google Loon to start the commercial rollout of a 4G data network in our country. These two companies have been testing this service for the last 2 years. Once inaugurated, this service will extend Telkom Kenya's 4G network to areas that are not covered by any of our mobile network providers. Therefore, all Kenyans, wherever they are in our country, will enjoy access to high-speed and affordable internet services. I note the gesture by Google Loon and Telkom to offer their 4G service to support our efforts in surveillance and management of coronavirus infections, and this will go a long way in containing the present health challenge. Indeed, access to these services will keep Kenyans connected to emergency services and to their loved ones, whether isolated or in quarantine, or whether working from home or their usual workplaces. Equally, this service will also enable teachers and students to access education materials remotely, especially in this challenging time, thus enabling our students to continue learning from home. As you are all aware, my administration has developed and is implementing a comprehensive lessons program for all our learners to access while safe within their homes. On that note, I want to continue thanking members of our fourth estate who have also agreed to adjust their own daytime programming to accommodate our children at home. The Google Loon and Telkom Kenya partnership allows learners in every corner of our country to continue learning through access to soft copy edition materials and assignments. I want to thank all those in government from the various ministries who have worked hard over the last 2 weeks or so to fast-track this process of approval, and also on behalf of the Kenyan people, to thank Google Loon for offering this service, initially without levying any charges, for this is what true partnership between the government and the private sector means. We are currently also working on other initiatives to support our private sector during this particular difficult time, Most importantly, to ensure that they are able to continue to pay our hard-working Kenyans who have been employed by them. But we would also encourage that our companies and businesses do also that which they can to work with us and to support government during this particular period. The use of technology will increasingly become important. Only yesterday, the Kenyatta Diagnostic Center here at Kenyatta Hospital, where we have the CT scan center, we did, and it was the first to happen on the African continent using technology. They were able to remotely conference with 3 centers in China, one in Egypt, another in France, and also with Eldoret, Moi Referral Teaching Hospital, where they were able to exchange with professionals and clinical officers across the world to share both experiences and practical ways in which we can defeat this virus that is upon us. So the use of technology will continue to become increasingly important as we move forward. More updates on the state, or our current state, of the virus will be given later by the Ministry of Health in their regular daily briefings. But at this juncture, I cannot but continue to emphasize the need for each and every one of us to follow the protocols that have been laid out by the Ministry of Health. Most importantly, with regard to the danger posed to our population by people who flagrantly refuse to adhere to the laid down protocols. I want to once again and categorically reaffirm that the government will take the severest action against any individual who knowingly breach these laid down conventions and procedures, and in turn put the rest of the population at risk. So I encourage you, each and every one of you, let us follow the guidelines as has been given by the Ministry of Health. Let us be our brother's keeper, let us be our sister's keeper, and I am sure that if we do this, we shall overcome this particular pandemic. As I said, in a few days' time, we shall also be having a further session with private sector where we shall be announcing a raft of measures that the government will take to support our businesses and to support our people during this particularly difficult time. I thank you all, and thank you all for coming. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Na mtazamaji, hizo ni picha za moja kwa moja kutoka katika Ikulu ambapo Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ametoa taarifa yake kuhusiana na virusi vya corona huko nchini, na yale ambayo anazungumzia leo hii ni kuhusiana na umuhimu wa matumizi ya teknolojia ili kufanya masuala mengi.
Coronavirus is a large family of viruses called coronaviruses, and these have been there for long, and they cause diseases in both human beings and animals. In human beings, several coronaviruses cause several illnesses, with some mild like common colds and other severe illnesses. The most recently discovered coronavirus is the one we are calling COVID-19, and it is now responsible for what we are calling coronavirus disease. The symptoms generally are fever, tiredness, and dry cough, and these are usually mild. But some patients may develop aches, pains, nasal congestion, runny nose, sore throat, and some diarrhea. In 80% of clients, they usually have mild disease, and this might resolve on its own even without serious medical intervention. But 1 out of 6 patients might develop serious illness, which may cause difficulty in breathing, which now calls for medical intervention. Generally, this problem is more severe in older people or people who have chronic illnesses like hypertension, diabetes, heart problems. And from the statistics we have, is about 2% of the people right now who have been affected by this coronavirus disease have died. So you can see from the statistics is that it's only a small percentage. It's not as virulent as a disease like Ebola. The virus spreads from person to person, and it is mainly if a person near you is sneezing on objects and then you hold the object and then you touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth. It also can be spread if you inhale droplets which have been which a person who is already sick has exhaled or has sneezed into the environment. And the incubation period in this matter is the period between when you get the infection and when we start seeing clear signs and symptoms. Generally, the incubation period as of now is known to be between 1 and 14 days. I should also make it clear that people should have good respiratory hygiene. So for example, if you are coughing or sneezing in public, you should sneeze into your folded arm like this, or sneeze into a serviette or a handkerchief so that you don't spread the same. And generally, if you have fever, difficulties in breathing, you should seek medical advice. So should everyone have a mask? No. Masks generally are recommended for clients or patients who already have the problem, or medical personnel who are handling this kind of patients, or a person who is assisting at home a patient who already have signs and symptoms. The county government of Nakuru is educating the public on coronavirus so that they know what is it. And 2, we are giving the public information on how to prevent themselves from getting this disease in case it ever comes around. And then we've put in together a surveillance team and a response team in case we have any reports of any presence of such an incident anywhere. And we have also procured PPEs, personal protection equipment, and they are ready for use by our health personnel in case we get a client. We have also trained about 200 health personnel, that is at the Provincial General Hospital in Nakuru, at Naivasha, and Gilgil Hospital. So we have a complement of 200 personnel of all cadres. And finally, we have identified an isolated treatment facility in case there is need for such.